FM News Talk 97.1.
On-demand audio.
There's a statistic that says the majority of the Gen Y, Gen X generation gets their news from online. And after reading some of the stuff that I've seen in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, I can completely understand why. Now, one of the things that I do at bigjournalism.com is I follow media bias. And it's always, whenever you get a little gift that's sort of dropped in your lap where it's a completely biased story, it's kind of, it's like you're opening a present at Christmas, right? Now, I followed Jake Wagman over at the Post-Dispatch for quite a long time. We were on a panel together. Got very interesting, by the way, at some media conference, media event like a year and a half, 2 years ago. Myself and Jim Hoff, Gateway Pundit, were on this panel with him. Very interesting. And sometimes I think he does a really bang-up job as an objective reporter, and then other times I'm wondering if he actually did enough work himself to merit the byline, or if he should have just credited the Oppo team with the Carnahan department, their campaign officer, the Nixon campaign office. And I had that question again when I was reading the story that ran over the weekend about Missouri's Lt Governor Peter Kinder. And they were talking about, oh my gosh, he spent the night at the Chase Park Plaza Hotel after he spoke at a charity ball. And it talks about how he was racking up expenses, staying at hotels and all of this other business. And it didn't get into the fact that he's been audited twice by Democrats.
Ooh, what'd they find? What'd they find?
Nothing.
Ooh.
I know, right? Because if a Democrat's going to audit you, audit a Republican.
It's going to be thorough.
The guy who's going to be challenging Nixon for the gubernatorial office, they're gonna be lifting up the little tiniest of pebbles to see if they can find something, right? Mm-hmm. And they didn't find anything.
Interesting.
And I don't know, and correct me if I'm not sure that Nixon has ever been audited. And I thought the story was really interesting, and I wanted to bring on, to respond to it, Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder, who joins us by phone right now. Good afternoon.
Thank you for having me, Dana. And I can answer the question you just asked. The current governor has never been audited in the 27 months he's been governor.
Interesting.
Ever.
He is now due for an audit. We're on a 3-year cycle to be audited. I've been audited twice by Democratic auditor, and the lady who audited me is today state chairman of the Missouri Democratic Party. However, on Governor Nixon's last round of audits in 2007, when he was Attorney General, he ended up writing a check out of his campaign to the state treasury for $47,000 in overuse, misuse, and of the state car that the taxpayers provide him.
Wow.
At that point, when he wrote an almost $50,000 check for political use of the state car, I parked my state car, and I've been driving a private car ever since, and not billing the state for my official mileage, wear and tear on the vehicle, or gas, or anything else.
Right. Now, you are, there's so many things that were in this, that were left out of this piece that I noticed.
Yeah.
And the fact that, like you said, Nixon here has not been audited. How much were you, out of your budget, are you going to be turning back this year? Because I know I'm going
to turn back several $1,000s. I have the smallest budget in state government of all the statewide elected officials. I have turned back unspent monies in every year of the 6 years I've been in office. In this fiscal year that ends June 30th, I'll be turning back the largest amount I have ever turned back. And I'm not sure what that number is until the end of the fiscal year, but it will be larger than I have the last few years. All of my travel, Dana, that is between $5,000 and $6,000 a year, comes 100% out of my office budget. The governor is hiding his travel in the Department of Mental Health, the Department of Corrections, Education, Department of Economic Development, and all the other departments.
Right.
I'm transparent. I'm audited. He's not audited. He's not transparent.
The thing about this...
and the rates were $105 a night, the lowest government rate.
Right.
And they want to focus on the name of the hotel rather than what I paid.
Well, I
have recently stayed at Hampton Inns and more limited service hotels, and the rate is higher than I've been paying.
I think they're trying to, and this is just my speculation, the reason that you have people at the PD focusing so much on you is so they cannot focus. It just seems like a tit-for-tat situation here with Senator McCaskill.
I can break some news on your air today. We discovered just this morning in a sunshine request the cost of the governor's travel in the first 2 months of this year, ending February 28th, was $33,000 and some change, $33,000 for 2 months, or almost as much in those 60 days as I spent in 6 years.
$33,000 the first 2 months.
Yes. And there was one, listen, he flies around, I drive around. I drive around privately. I don't bill the state my gas, my mileage, wear and tear on the vehicle. I parked my state car 4 years ago. I'm actually subsidizing official travel. This is what, and the Post-Dispatch knew all of this, and Jake Wagman spent almost 2 months on a search and destroy mission in which he did not disclose the facts of the audit, either of my two audits, or the fact that the lowest rate was $105, the lowest government rate. He tried to make it sound like it was $120, and 1 hour on the state plane costs about $1,200 an hour versus my $105 hotel night.
Well, and like I said, I think that this is being focused on so this publication doesn't have to focus on McCaskill, because what I thought was so fascinating about this is that Dave Cantonese is the guy at Politico who broke the McCaskill story. Politico is halfway across the country, whereas here, this is Wagman's beat. Why didn't he break the McCaskill story and said
isn't that a good question? Maybe because he was spending 7 or 8 weeks on my hotel bills writing a 2,500-word story. Are you kidding me? This was the length of a New Yorker magazine polished piece on the Vietnam War on some hotel bills.
Right. One of the things that you had said earlier is that you're just going to get a condo. And like within a couple of hours after you gave an interview where you were talking about how you were going to get a condo, fascinating, Elizabeth Smith with the Democratic governor, with Nixon's group, came out with fired off a press release saying that they're mad about that even because they say that it'll still be campaign money that's going towards paying for that condo.
Well, you know what? If you didn't come to St. Louis, they'd fault you for not coming there.
Right.
When you do come there, the daily newspaper that praised me 48 months ago for my commitment to working across party lines to move our state forward and heal the urban-rural split, now it's a bad thing that I come to St. Louis and spend time. I guarantee you can't win if you're a conservative with the Post-Dispatch. Well,
I'm kind of wondering the same thing here after some of the stories that I've seen. That I mean, every now and then I see a good objective piece, and I'm like, wow, can we? And then I see something like this, and it just completely shoots all of my hopes completely down.
This was a contract hit piece, but longtime readers of the Post, have come to expect it.
Well, and I think anyone with a brain would want to know where the other side of the story is, or just some of the situations with Nixon and the fact that, well, why hasn't he been audited yet? But the thing the last point I wanted to make, and I know you have to get going, we have to get going to break here, is that with campaign funds, now correct me if I'm wrong, this type of situation, like renting a condo or whatever, that's exactly one of the things that this fundraising like that so you can actually go and visit people across the state and not have to rack up even more money with like hotels and, et cetera.
Correct.
Well, there you go.
I'm proud of my commitment to St. Louis, and I'm not backing down, Dana. You know I'm a fighter.
Absolutely. Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder, always a pleasure. Thanks. It's good to talk to you.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Talk to you again soon.